Okay, so I started out with clean, well exfoliated and moisturized skin. This is going to help any products we apply go on much more smoothly. First product I'm using is a BB cream. BB creams are kind of like tinted moisturizers, but they tend to have a little bit more coverage, at least usually. I recommend using something that's lightweight first just to even out the skin tone. You don't need to go in with something that has really heavy coverage. I'm blending this on with a flat top foundation brush. This one is the F80 brush by Sigma. What I love about flat top foundation brushes is they smooth on the foundation really beautifully. They minimize like how big your pores look. So as you can see, my skin tone definitely looks much more even. And this is fine if it's an everyday kind of look, you're just heading out the door. But the problem with using one shade of foundation all over your face looks kind of flat. You don't really get to see much dimension. So I like to start by highlighting. To highlight, you take a concealer or a foundation that's a few shades lighter than your skin tone. And you want to apply the highlighting shade pretty much anywhere where the light naturally hits. Anything that you want to make appear bigger, bring forward, bring more attention to, that's where you apply your highlighting shades. So I like to start out by applying it underneath the eyes in a triangular shape, and I extend it across the tops of my cheekbones. This is going to make them look higher, it's going to make them stand out much more. Contouring and highlighting is a really personal thing. You know, you don't have to do it exactly like anybody else does. Everybody has different features that they want to play up. Not everybody wants to play up the same features, but typically people like to apply a little bit on the center of the forehead, center of the chin, a little bit down the bridge of the nose. Now that our highlight is on, we can go into contouring. So to contour, you take a cream concealer or maybe a foundation that's a few shades darker than your skin tone, like 3, 4 darker than your skin tone, and you go ahead and you apply that to anywhere where you want to cast a shadow, anything that you want to make look smaller. I like to go along the hollows of the cheeks just to make them look a little bit deeper. And that's what's really going to make them pop and stand out more. I also kind of swoop over to the temple, this kind of like a C shape. This really helps to make the cheekbones stand out even more. You can bring it along the sides of the temples. I have a shorter forehead, but if you feel like you have a bigger forehead, try to apply some around the hairline, because that's going to make it look shorter, make it look a bit smaller. Add some contouring underneath, like along the jawline and chin, just to make it look a little bit shorter, a little bit more defined. I also add a dot underneath the lower lip. It makes it look like it's fuller, and makes it look like it's casting a shadow. You can use a little bit on the tip of the nose to make it look shorter. You can use a little along the sides of the bridge of the nose to make it look thinner. You can really get creative. All contouring really is just kind of like you're carving out your face. It's like you're outlining your features. Okay, so your face looks a little bit crazy right now, but before you blend it out, this is my #1 tip. Give them a minute or two. Don't touch them. Give them a minute or two to just sit on your face. That way the heat from your skin is going to end up melting the product a little bit, breaking it down a little, and it's going to make it so much easier to blend into the skin. I'm taking a dampened Beauty Blender sponge, or you can use any makeup sponge, just make sure it's wet. And all you want to do is just pounce the sponge against the skin. This is going to help to really blend the product in, push it into the skin, and blend out all the harsh lines. Make sure that you blend it down onto your neck a little, just so that everything blends in smoothly and you don't look like you're wearing a mask. See how now the face looks much glowier and healthier and there's more dimension. But I like to bump things up just a little bit more. I like to have a really strong highlight underneath the eyes, kind of Kim Kardashian style. What I like to do is take a concealer. This one is by NYX. It's really, really light. So I dot that underneath the eyes, along the tops of the cheekbones, and also to really make that cheek contour stand out a little more, I add a few dots underneath where we applied the contour, just so that it'll make it pop, it'll add that contrast and make it stand out even more. Go ahead and blend that out. I like to start out using a little brush, and then I blend out the edges with the Beauty Blender. I just pounce along. You don't want to swipe the sponge across the skin, because that's going to end up sucking up way more product, wiping it off. It's kind of like an eraser. So you just want to pounce it along where you want to blend and soften out any harsh lines. Alright, so now let's lock down all of that hard work into place. When you're using creams and liquids, you need to set them down with a powder. So I dipped a big fluffy powder brush into some translucent powder and I'm rolling it across the skin. I'm not brushing it on or anything like that, just because that can end up disturbing the makeup underneath and it can mess up your work. If you want to add more intensity, you can go in with a powder contour. I'm using this small brush and I'm dipping just the edge of it into this contouring shade and using that to go over where I've contoured before. Using the edge of the brush is going to give you much more control. You can even use powder to bump up the highlight. What I like to do is brighten up underneath the eyes. I'll use sometimes even a white eyeshadow. So if you have very, very fair skin and you can't find something light enough, try a little bit of white eyeshadow. And finally, blush. You just want to apply this where the highlight and contour colors meet on your cheeks. And that, my friends, is the magic of makeup. So I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial and found it helpful. If you want a list of all the products that I use, they'll be listed on my blog. I'll put a link in the description box below. And as always, I look forward to talking to you again very, very soon. Bye!